Viewers, we are in our studios at Fiji Sen TV show, and today we have Dr. Arun Chauhan with us, the host of 30-year program called Saaz Awaaz, based out of San Francisco. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I'd like to give us a brief overview of your program, how you started on that. Could you do that for us, please?
Well, basically my background is in films.
Okay.
And back home I was a photographer. I used to do short films and all that.
Mm-hmm.
When I came here in 1980, 3 years after I ended up in San Francisco, I started a TV program called Ujala.
Ujala.
Yeah. It lasted a couple of years. I was only 25 years old and I had so many difficulties finding sponsors. They wouldn't believe me. Mm-hmm. That this kid, 25-year-old kid, can do a TV program. Mm-hmm. So I had to, grow a beard so I look older. So, and then my grandmother passed away, so I had to go close the program. There was nobody else to run it. Mm-hmm. And I closed the program and went back to India. When I came back, my wife comes to me and says, the food will be ready every time you come home, everything will be spick and span, but I need to do a radio program. And I said, why? Says, no, just, you have some good advertisers and, I'd like to do it. I said, okay, fine. So our major sponsor, Travel Advisors of Sunnyvale, Mr. Wahid Ali.
Okay.
We go to him and he says, sure, no problem. We started.
So you switched from TV to
radio.
To radio, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how the radio program started. I was in the background. I will do the scripts and, do all that. Roshni, my wife.
Provided the voice.
Provided the voice. And it went on for a few months, and then one day Roshni says, I'm so busy, I have to go to that beauty school, and why don't you go ahead and record the show for me? So I recorded the show. Guess what? Next day Mr. Ali calls me. He says, man, you sounded good. Both of you should do it together. So we started doing it together, and the time went by. The initial time was 7:30 to 8 p.m. We would play oldies only. Then we were switched into evening, then we were switched into afternoon, and next week.
And when you began, what did you name the program as?
Saaz.
Saaz Awaaz.
Yeah.
So it remained Saaz Awaaz.
It remained Saaz Awaaz, yeah. And then we had a baby, and we will not take her to the studios because you got to be confined and you have 2 or 3, 4 hours of programming to do.
Right.
So one day she says, no, I'm coming with you guys. I said, you got to sit tight for so many hours. No problem, I'll sit with you. So she comes over and one day she is trying to imitate me. Asha ji, ye bataiye ki aapka ye kya hua, wo kya hua. I'm like, baby, this is serious stuff, but if you actually want to, you can do it. She says, okay. So she came on board.
So third person came on board.
Yeah.
3 of you got together.
Yeah. So it's a small team. It's 3 of us. Eventually things changed.
Right.
Times changed. We got so many hours. Then we had a 24-hour channel for 5 years. Eventually we sold it to somebody because Roshni's dad was ill. So, things kept evolving. And the fun, it was a process. You get up in the morning and you have the information from a day before. You write the new scripts and do the corrections and changes.
And insert your advertisements too in between, right?
Yeah, and
So
she will be doing this, I'll be
right.
handling this person will be handling that. That process is not there no more.
Right.
Because the music is all digitized. It's all digitized.
Right.
Yeah, you can either play it or you can cut and paste it or however you do it.
This is as a result of the internet coming in, right?
Internet coming.
So those days when you started, you had to physically play these,
Yes.
whatever. Did you have
LPs?
LPs, long.
Before LPs was,
Tape.
before, tapes and LPs, then came CD. Yeah.
So did you have the big tape in which you,
Yes.
and then you're going to go rewind and.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work, but it was a process,
Yeah.
and we enjoyed it.
Right. So and then there was a part. I know I came to studio. That was a live one you did.
Yes.
So in addition to preparing these so many hours of program, which is a pre-production, then you had the a live program, which was different, right?
Yes.
And you mentioned your daughter. Mention any.
She did actually interview Saif Ali Khan and a few other people
yeah.
live on the air. And
What's the daughter's name? I forgot.
Riddhi
yeah.
Chauhan.
Chauhan, yeah.
Yeah. And Roshni really enjoyed doing the program, and it was, it grew from an hour to 4 or 5 or 8, and then in between we had a newspaper with us, so we were doing 8 hours a week. Right. Then the newspaper went away. Then we started, recently we were doing up to 8 hours a week again. But then, life has to be lived also.
Yeah.
Because the radio itself is not, as much as it should be, is not generating good enough income for you to live on.
Live on, yeah. That's more like entertainment and a passion that you want to follow.
Yeah, well, entertainment also, but there is a sense in radio. Now, let me tell you 2 or 3 things related to radio. First of all, 90% times, radio people and radio programmers have very poor script when it comes to commercials. Very poor script. The husband is telling wife, and wife is telling husband. Everybody does that. 99% people. And very few the variations here and there.
Right.
It is an art,
right,
to write a 30-second commercial and tell all about Fiji Sun or Dr. Koya. It's an art.
Right.
And it requires practice, it requires patience,
right,
it requires your knowledge of
rewriting and redoing so many times till you get it right.
Yeah, and the command on the language.
Yeah, and within that time frame, right?
Yeah.
What do you have? What's the maximum you might do an ad?
Maximum I've done is 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Well, that's pretty long.
Yeah, but that includes tail and head music.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the actual ad is 60.
Your voice over whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, it will have certain variations. Like I remember, and I've done a lot of show commercials.
Right.
Live shows when they used to come here. That time was a different story.
Right.
We will have the stars, like the show is this evening. This is Saturday evening. Stars calling in the studio. We'll be in the studio, and we will be generating tickets for the sponsors,
right,
and they appreciated it until we come to a new age where there are so many people in the Bay Area, probably 450,000, and you just put it on the Facebook or put it on the company's bulletin, and the advertising is done. Whereas, yes, go ahead.
The interviews that you were doing in there, were they inside the studio or were they live outside of at the scene?
Most of the times, the stars were in the hotels.
Right.
There will be one person going from room to room to room,
right,
and they will call in on the phone line. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we will decide so that the local sponsor, will go ahead and will arrange that.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of times, like Salman's interview, we have done from Bombay.
Right.
Yeah,
it's easy to do that. Get him on the line and. Now with all the technologies, you can even do a live. You can see one another on the internet or by phone or by smartphone and all that, so things have changed, but that is not radio though.
That is, radio is radio. Radio itself is not going to change.
Right.
Yeah, with the new technology, yes, it is more available. I can buy an app and I can, transmit my program, and the app will be in your cell phone.
Right.
You can receive it any way you want to.
Right.
But my problem here is, if you're going somewhere, why do you want to listen to your app in your cell phone when you can listen to it on AM or FM?
Right.
So some of the things are, that don't make sense. I was listening to a radio program, and this person is saying, "Oh, I was going there, I heard you on my, I was in my car and I heard you on my cell phone," and I said, "How stupid can that be?"
You actually were the pioneer as far as the radio goes, right, in the Bay Area among the Indians.
Well, in the
very few people were there.
I think Mr. Harishankar started before we did.
Okay, he did.
Yeah,
okay.
6 months to a year before we did.
Okay.
Yeah, and after about 8-9 years, Mohini Lata came from
LA.
Yeah, and there was one person. Her name was Khanna, Mrs. Khanna. She did the program only in English though. It was 40 minutes or 30 minutes on Saturday, only in English.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And from Fiji community, Harishankar came, and then much later came money.
Right.
But there were people, but you know, when it comes down to, that was the other part of the commercial I was telling you. If I'm a store owner, I'm having the biggest sale. And I tell Dr. Koya, this is the biggest sale. Dr. Koya knows what to do with the paper. I have 30 seconds to 45 seconds. How am I going to produce
Tailor it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have to be in a bigger hurry than the store owner.
Right, right,
Because I promised him, I'll get you people, I'll get your phone ringing.
right,
That's the beauty of it, and that's the challenge.
Right.
And that's what you enjoy.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so now, since internet has come in, how have you handled that? I mean, are you still doing your show, 2-hour show, whatever, or you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Still doing the 2-hour show. Let me not misguide you. 90% of the people, old-time listeners, is still enjoy the older songs, not the new Kachumar, Javani or Falani, you know. They still enjoy, you know, the older songs, Rafi songs, some Kishore songs.
Right.
Yeah, that's the feedback I get. A lot of them still enjoy listening to AM radio. A lot of them still enjoy that. The new generation, I am not so sure.
Okay.
Yeah, new generation is following a craze which is taken from someplace else to someplace else, and it doesn't fit as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
But maybe I'm wrong.
No, no. Every radio has a listener base. You can start a hip hop, or whatever that is.
Right.
But that's a different listener base. Yours is, you know, the 60s and the 50s, etc., which I'm attuned to. You know, I like those oldies, you know, the lovely, wonderful songs, the movies that we saw. And now, now that all these things have come in, the changes have come in, where are you going to go? What do you plan to do? Are you going to stay this way, or are you going to go?
You know, Ade Bhai, let me tell you honestly, the new songs, there are a couple of Pakistani singers, and they sing so beautifully and so well. There are some love songs, oh, they just shake you. And I'll give you a scenario. There is a film, Kites. You will never watch the film based on the name of the film, Kites. Well, Kites is a love story, and it's a sad love story. And the song, couple of songs sung by KK in that movie are so beautiful. Rahat Fateh Ali Khan
Right.
sings so beautifully. And of course, there's always that case. 60% of the movies produced, 60% of the music produced is okay. But there's always that 40% which is the quality.
Right. Right.
I'll give you a scenario of Bombay, the Indian capital of Hindi movies. 60% movies are produced, they are produced. But then there's Yash Chopra movies, then there's Raj Kapoor movies, then there were Devanand movies. So they all have different calibers.
Right, right. You started off saying that you began as a photographer and a TV guy. Are you going to remain with the radio, or is it too late to go back to TV and maybe a documentary or something like that?
You know, I'd love to do that one day. I'd love to do that one day, but you know, I had to take a little back seat because of my eyesight. As you can tell, I've grown older. But I can write excellent scripts, I can do excellent short films. I have done some of them. Some films I have edited. The background comes from India. I will give you, I was in doing my master's degree. And my degree is in sociology, so you got to do the field work. You go in the villages, you see little children, you know, they will probably have something, you know, like a small underwear, but they're looking at you from like that, and you know, and the mothers and the cows and this and that. It was so close to nature, so beautiful. I took pictures, fortunately. My department head was so proud of me. She says, Arun, you need films? Let me know. I'll give you some films. I developed those films, and you know, I had a cousin who will help me enlarge them. And every 3-4 months, I'll go to Bombay, go to Sarika and Dharmyog and say, here's my pictures, you need some of them? They held on to almost everything, but they printed here and there. And I have been accepted in India circuit exhibitions and so on and so forth. So that's how it began. When it comes to the language, the very funny story, when I started broadcasting here, people will try to judge me by my accent, and I'm sorry, I have no accent. Hindi is a Hindi.
Right.
Yeah. So they will say, when they try and judge, will say, Punjabi जैसी हिंदी नहीं बोल रहा है, ये गुजराती जैसी हिंदी नहीं बोल रहा, महाराष्ट्रियन जैसी नहीं बोल रहा, साउथ इंडियन तो है नहीं, ये कौन है? बोला फीजीदा है बंदा. Yes.
Anyway, it's a pleasure. So, you know, we're going to have another segment with you. This is not enough. But we want to upload this as soon as possible. But we want to follow with you with another segment. And
I'll show you the awards in that segment.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. We'll grab some awards and we'll talk more about it.
Yeah, and I'll give you some audio commercials. I have old ones.
Yeah, you can take it through, you know, how you were doing those. That'll be more interesting. This is a very hurried segment, listeners, viewers, and we'll be back with Dr. Arun Chauhan later, pretty soon. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching Coffee with Koya, and this is Dr. Arun Chauhan.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Koya.